Install them.
Right now.
Install all your updates.
Let's get into it. 1, 2, 3.
Why, hello, and welcome to My Whiskey Den, your favorite public access whiskey review show where craft whiskey is king. And thanks for stopping in for a very special Saturday edition where we're having a J. Henry and Son roundtable. But it's not just us. We're bringing in special guests. But before I go any further, because I will forget today, Mike, what do we usually tell people right now?
Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell notification, leave a comment down below, leave a comment in the chat. I think that's it. Oh, and don't steal this introduction.
Fair enough. We do have to say one of our guests was unable to make it today. Kevin Rose had a work emergency, supposedly. There is rumor that he is bitter about losing a cocktail contest, and that's why he did not show up today. This is a rumor about that, so it could be true. And I think Dave and Adina Ewalls, I think Dave was the one that might have beat him, and might be the reason Kevin's bitter today. Maybe, but we brought them on because they were nice enough to get me this bottle of the frame and get it signed by J. Henry when they were down there, and they delivered it to me too, so it doesn't get better than that. So thank you guys for picking this one up. It's I'm happy with it, but we're going to see what everyone else thinks. Also, we have John Krantz. Thank you for stopping in. You are just a little ways away from me in Appleton, and I know that you had one of these already and you won one of the samples, so I'm waiting to hear what you think about it. How are you doing today, John?
Wonderful. No, I actually have the anniversary. This is the first time trying the Flamme.
Well, we'll dig into both of them. And last but not least, our good friend Mitch Weddle. It's always good to see you here. Thanks for waking up for the show.
Thanks. I set an alarm.
So I wanted to let's start with the Flamme, because I think the other one at cast strength might have a little more. I mean, they're both pretty at cast strength. The Flamme's 57.47, but I feel like the intricacies are going to stand out more being the first one rather than being the second one for a finished whiskey. This one is standard mash, which is 60% corn, 14% rye, 14% wheat, and 12% malted barley. The corn, of course, is the Wisconsin red corn that they had to get the okay from UW-Madison to grow, because they had the copyright on it back in the 30s. I believe it was 39. So it's another one of those unique red corns or corn varietals that are being used. And then they finished it in Armagnac barrels. And our friend Nancy Fraley and Joe Jr. have their hands all over both of the ones we're tasting today. So let me spin this around because I haven't heard too much from Ben. What are some of the notes you're getting on the nose?
First thing that hit me right off the bat was a nice little hit of dill, which I find interesting. But there's just some classic brown sugar, some oak. Get a little bit of that earthy, musty grapiness from the finishing cask on this. So.
And other people can jump in. I don't have to signify, but I can swing it. I can swing it around as well too.
Getting dark fruits, you know, the raisiny, a little bit of, you know, some darker fruit.
Getting a little butterscotch off of it too.
I'm a little concerned. I kind of want to drink right now. Like you're in that mood sometimes where it's like I want to sniff this, but I kind of want to have a drink of it and then start the review.
I would like to mention too, as far as the J. Henry, that they grow the corn, rye, and wheat all on their farm there in Dane, Wisconsin.
In glass.
And they have a nice tour that's there, and 45th Parallel does the distilling for them up in New Richmond. And we had the Werneys on before. I was gonna say they do the contract distilling for the Henrys, but they age it there in their barns.
Has 45th always done all of J.
Yes.
Henry's distilling?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yep.
I don't
We
know
did
why I was thinking Yahara did some of it, but
We did a tour over there a little over a year ago, and their grains, their barrels, really nice place to visit.
Absolutely.
About the only time you'll ever see a rick house, which is an ex-dairy barn, which works perfectly for them with the airflow and everything.
Mitch, that was a lot of excitement out of you. What do you have over there?
Oh gosh, MB Roland, like my
Oh.
favorite craft distillery here in Kentucky, also uses a dairy barn for their rick house. Sorry,
Something
I was
to
getting
it.
excited.
It works.
I mean, if you got the space, why rip it down if you can just use what's there? And it is very similar. So, Mitch, what are you getting on the nose of this thing?
So it's interesting. So I get a little bit of just kind of that corn sweetness, balanced out with kind of not quite that dill note that Ben said earlier, but some sort of green note. But the I get like almond skins and kind of like, I don't know that this is the right term, but like grape musk, where like kind of the pre-grappa type smell before you distill it.
Earthy bit to it.
Yeah.
Oh shit! Comments. Sorry, comment people. I forgot all about you. That's my bad. Thank you for stopping in, everyone, and being on time.
No, you're pretty on, Mitch. I think there's a very grappa-like essence to the nose on this that I'm getting. Also, Adina pointed out that butterscotch note that was coming in like in waves just a few minutes ago for me. It kind of bounced back and forth between the butterscotch, and then I'd get that dill note again. So
I'm not gonna lie. I jumped into the taste on this, but I don't want to sway people because I know I liked this one. John, anything else standing out to you before we get into some tastes here?
For a little bit, me, I got like butterscotch candy, but then on the palate, there's a lot of the dark grape flavors across your tongue. It's really good.
All right. I'm not gonna lie. I already started tasting it. So,
Cheers.
cheers to everyone out there. Oh,
I think you definitely get some of that fruitiness from that Armagnac.
I like how viscous it is up front. It almost tastes like a little bit of like Werther's original, and then it's like the grapes start to like seed in on it, and I like the consistency and what starts to get pulled out on the back half and on the tongue. A little drying tannin for me on the sides. The top of my tongue is salivating, so that's always a good sign because it makes you want to go back for more. Sorry, Mike, you're quiet over there.
I'm writing things down. I'm being studious.
Jeez. You're one of those people.
Well, I mean, let's be honest. We're not going to be able to buy another bottle of this, right?
No, but this one.
So I'm trying to. I'm being careful on my consumption and
It's not
trying to be thorough on my notes.
I'm keeping it just in case need be. So that one's actually in pretty good shape.
We have a backup though.
We got a backup bottle.
Jealous. Man, that's interesting. Because so when I took my first sip, it was an explosion of fruit across my palate. I swallowed, and my first exhale was just ungodly amounts of butterscotch welling out the back of my throat that then immediately dissipated into kind of a rye, gentle, like baking spice, not quite cinnamon, maybe kind of like ginger. And then it just started to mellow out into like gentle tannins. Like, it's been a while since I had a whiskey that took me on like that crazy of a ride with a sip and a breath.
Yeah.
The finish on this is just
Yeah.
outstanding.
Yeah, the mouth
Just goes
feels
on and on.
mouth feels just so cool on this one.
It's interesting for me. It stays more towards the front of the palate, and it's just from cheek to cheek, just right across. A lot of tannin, a lot of tannic structure in there, and I get this. Mitch, you said the ginger, but it's ginger and cinnamon that really kind of explode out. You get that big hit of like the dark fruit, the grape, with the Armagnac, and all of a sudden it's like you get this big explosion of cinnamon, and then the after flavors are almost more. They're more of that corn and bourbon and rye that kind of come out.
That's why I liked it. You get a really nice, and the finish, you don't have to drink. You don't have to go back to it. It lasts. I figured for like anything that goes over a minute, I'm usually pretty happy with. And this is like 2 or 3 sometimes. But today I am getting a little, like,
Right.
you were mentioning tannins. I'm getting like a little like numbing from the tannins, but it's not a lot. But it's not like a lot of tannic structure. I just have a little, like a light burn. Like just enough to let you know you drank whiskey or bourbon, and I enjoy that rather than trying to cover everything up. I like to have a little bit hidden in there somewhere that lets you know you just had some alcohol, you know.
Right.
Otherwise, it gets kind of scary. Tim wants to know: did you get some cheddar from Jay Henry for wearing the bowling shirt for this fine event?
Nope, I bought it. Big fan. Although I will add, hey Liz, if you listen to this,
See, there it is.
who's your buddy?
Let me pull this back around.
Now, I was just doing something interesting. I had a little glass poured of their 5-year, just their standard 5-year, just for nosing to look at the mash bill, and then comparing that to the Armagnac finish. And you can definitely see some of the carryover from their standard mash bill. I get a little bit of like light cherry and vanilla off their standard, and it kind of rolls over to the Armagnac, and then of course it's just enhanced.
Additive with
Yeah.
the Armagnac, yeah.
Well, I do usually have a saying that usually most everything Nancy touches is kind of gold. It usually does not turn out poorly. This clearly, since it won my finished whiskey of the year, which just edged out the Garyana. It was just a did you want Scotch or did you want bourbon that day type of thing, and I wanted bourbon. I don't know. I think it was a really well layered, put together. Like Mitch said, it was a really neat ride, and people fucking hate this. You know what I'm gonna say? It's a smooth ride. The roller coaster, it wasn't the fucking old. If you've been to Six Flags, it wasn't the American Eagle. You kind of turn a corner and you smash part of your head and you come down. And when you're young, it's cool. When you're old, that ride's not so great.
Right.
So this is one. It was like, hey, this is a brand new roller coaster, all metal tubes, and you're just rolling along. What's happening? So hey, eat that, everyone who hates smooth. Sorry, I want to poke the bear today.
This has got a great profile to it, in that I especially would love. This would be for me a great after dinner pour to sit down with a cigar and enjoy sipping this one. Take your time with it and really just dig in and savor it. So,
And not
I gotta-
you can see on this for the blending, Joe Z. Henry, spending all the time with Nancy on their blending endeavors. He's becoming quite the blender on his own right. So, gotta say, he's got a good palate.
Yeah, his palate's been, not that it wasn't good before, has been increasingly
Oh yeah,
becoming more sophisticated, like hitting a
Mhm.
lot of the notes that she does on stuff. And like I said, obviously like what she does in Elevage and other places, but it's just a more cohesive whiskey usually. And that's neat that she's teaching him, because everyone takes a break and is going to retire, and those skills will be passed on to different people. That's the best part. I think that's why she joins a lot of the people. I should say she vets distilleries.
Yeah.
I think she chooses who she wants to work with that are going to be open to do, take her advice and follow the path, and
Right.
they show for it, all of them.
All right. So now I'm gonna go a little washer, but let's switch over to the J. Henry 2021 anniversary edition. This is 61.8 alcohol by volume, 1,500 bottles. But
Holy
it is
smokes.
same thing.
I'm sorry,
Older-
you hit that
Go.
proof, and I'm nosing, and I'm like, you would not think this is a 61%
No.
No.
proof on the nose at all. I mean, you can just get all up in that glass, and it's not killing you with the ethanol in any way.
Yeah, this is definitely not burning off your nose hairs,
Right? No, got into the glass on that, and it just really blew me away on that. So
I would, yeah.
go for it.
I think it was 6 to 9 year old barrels in this release.
I always
Oh,
say this
man.
on the Henry, the older Henry like this on the nose, it just kind of, I want to say mahogany, a room full of mahogany, but it's, I don't know what that means. It's just that,
Right.
that feeling, the nose gives me.
Kind of evokes almost like that classic office library kind of thing. Leather chairs, mahogany panels, old books.
Yeah.
I've gotten that for some scotches where it seems like an English library.
Yeah.
Good paneled.
Yeah.
Right.
That's exactly it.
Maybe I'm getting a little leather here, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's just one of those scent memory things where it evokes something you've experienced before, and it just kind of, this one triggers me to thinking about that,
So you said you're getting a lot of leather. You're getting a lot of leather, and it's evoking memories. I just want to make sure we don't forget that statement.
That would be an office suite somewhere.
I guess we know what was behind that one door in Patrick's previous experience.
It was Dave. It was Dave, the cocktail champion.
Ooh.
Oh man, I'm getting some apple off of this now too, like some really sweet, like a Fuji apple.
Yeah.
When I first picked it up, it was an explosion of like bright citrus. It was insane.
Is it possible to have a bourbon that has everything in the flavor wheel in it?
Yeah.
Just start
When
working.
it hits a lot of the notes.
there.
Well, and it's like you said, Ben, it's not very alcoholic on the nose, so you can get in it to try to take things apart even deeper. I'll be honest, it smells 40-ish, and I'm not being like a dick about it. Like, it's, as far as the aggressiveness of the alcohol,
Right.
I might even guess less. I mean, I think it's just Saturday and I haven't had a drink in a while, so I might need to pull back on that.
I wonder if the 4-grain aspect, since it's a 4-grain mash bill, you got the wheat in there too, which rounds it out a little bit and maybe knocks down the harshness a little bit.
Maybe softer.
Yeah.
It does. Well, and when they get, I've noticed when they get to the 6 and above, the barrels, it really rounds off that edge of it anyways. Like once it goes kind of past 5, once it hits 5, it's a really nice bourbon. Once it goes past, it starts to really kind of round out anything that was there and leaves a nice sanded finish. All right, I'm just not waiting anymore. I'm jumping on this.
I'm almost getting a little coffee off of it too.
Maybe a hint.
Just a hint back there. It's like 3 layers down.
I'm gonna say it comes up more on the taste when you get in there.
It's for me, it's a lot on the nose. It's dusty leather books off the top. You get into that apple note that Adina talked about, but the apple's got a little bit of cinnamon and caramel going on, and then I get a distinct note of like of grape, basically, like a grape, almost cognac, Armagnac like in a way.
Day drinking's always good.
Man.
It's good to see you in here. Cheers, man. Oh, and that was a wax on, wax off, Tim. He's right on. How old are you? You 41 too? You're dead on with my motions.
I'm not 41, and I know that reference. Like,
Well, I know, but Tim hit me on like 2 of them today. So
You and Tim are one.
oh, there's a Schwartz reference. I can. All
this is
right,
interesting. Sorry, I was
Go.
just gonna say, after I took my first sip, the ethanol becomes a lot more prominent on the nose.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I think it's, especially compared to the other one we had today. Once you're drinking it, this is a more aggressive whiskey than that one. The heat and everything kind of comes at you. It feels alive. It doesn't feel, like you said. It almost feels like that first sniff was like a booby trap. You know, like it was like layered over. You didn't, and all of a sudden it's like, what the hell happened here? Poof, flavors, and I'm liking the heat. There's a little more cinnamon on the finish for me that's sticking around that I'm really enjoying on the sides of my tongue right now. Not as numbing as the other one. Sorry, I go back. This is going to be a drink most of the bottle day.
So at this proof, this is what's really surprising is I wouldn't guess the proof, but it's definitely a building heat with the alcohol, but it never really goes overboard. And I'm comparing, so about an hour ago, I had a little Elijah Craig barrel proof pick that was 137 proof, which that is just total punch your face, pucker everything, gets dry. It's because it does. It just hits and it's just like sucks. It's like, it reminds me like the old Looney Tunes, you know, when they would feed someone the alum, you know, and they'd suck their lips in there. That's what it felt like. This is almost that same proof. It's really close to that proof, and yet this is not. It's not fighting you in any way. It's like it's very flavorful, and then it just slowly builds, but it never goes over the edge where you're like, this is going to turn out bad. It's just this is a lot of proof and a lot of flavor at this proof without sacrificing your sanity. I'll say it that way.
Yeah.
Does it get? Some of you have had enough Texas whiskey. Does it get to that edge? For me,
Not quite.
not quite. It's like tone. It's a little toned down, but I was like, I thought it does get to the point, like Mike was saying, where it's like just enough before it breaks, and it's a different flavor, but it's kind of, I think it's similar.
But that heat, like you're talking about on the back end and the finish, the way it just keeps building, it's like a slightly toned down cinnamon red hots for me.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost a little more elegant expression of like the high proof Texas stuff.
Okay, as you've made the comments, but well, now both of you made comments about Texas. If I was going to compare this to a Texas whiskey, I would compare it to Surprise Iron Root, which, you know,
Agreed.
Yeah.
I could see a comparison with this to the Hazmat Hubris, to be honest. That Hubris, I mean, there's a lot more oiliness and density going on in that one, but some of the profile of this kind of
that final wave of the hazmat Hubris. The final wave of that though is that's what gets me, because it's so drinkable,
right?
And then it's just like, guess what? Now it's coming.
This one with a few drops of water.
Ooh, and that's what I just did.
A little bit. It opens up quite a bit.
It really does.
All the science.
Wow.
Man, that really explodes across the palate even more. Yep. After the water. And I'm getting a little bit more earthiness, a little more corn coming forward on the back end of it too.
You almost get a little dustiness now too.
Yeah, I was gonna say some dusty, like
Yeah.
earthy. It's easily to say like the barn from them, but
Yeah.
otherwise I would have been like a dunnage or a cellar. You know, you're getting I think that popped out a little bit more for me. That a little bit of mustiness on the nose, but then I'm getting like a graham cracker now, more than like a cinnamon. I'm getting a little more graham cracker.
Did they say on the bottle how old this one is? I think it's a blend, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think
Would
it
you
has.
say it was 6 to 9 year old barrels?
Yeah, I seem to remember they're using some of the older stuff on this one too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some nice elegance. This thing's got shows that age really well.
I know they have at least 10-year stuff in barrels up there. at this
Yeah.
point, so they've got that at their disposal.
And of course, everyone's been waiting for that. But I mean, you got to hold on that for as long as you can if you're going to try to go further. Or like, especially the way they're going to blend, you might only be taking, so much of a half a barrel of something. You might have a little left over to play with again later on.
Don't get me wrong, I'm not an age tater or anything, but I've had some dynamite young bourbons, but
Well, that's a good point to bring up because, it's something we talk about, and we're going to talk more about. But we really haven't seen older bourbon coming out of the north,
Right.
and like just straight bourbon. And to see what not only the climate is doing, but they are using different barrels, or they can use different barrels up there. And so, what is it doing? That are you allow it to, or is it more aging like you would Scotch? Where it's going to be a slower age to get to that point. But if we can, I'd love to sample that. But again, I'm really fine with young stuff that tastes great. But man, if we could find out,
Random question: is J. Henry one of the people that uses Minnesota oak, or am I thinking
so.
of something?
yeah, I think they
completely
do
different?
source some of the Minnesota barrels. I think they have a variety, but I think they do, Mitch.
Okay, sorry about that, Mike.
No, there was.
I thought you were done, and then
Yeah,
interrupted you. Whoops.
I know someone else. Oh, Kevin, who is finally stopping in, says he's getting a drunken cherry note on the last.
Oh yeah.
But how much have you had to drink if you're getting that drunken cherry note?
Maybe
Well,
he's
it
the
is
drunken
Kevin.
cherry.
Got to catch up to Mike today.
yeah.
So this is interesting. So when I first drank it, there was this underlying kind of dusty grain note that kind of kept it grounded and earthy, in my opinion. And then when I added the water, it took that away. And the first hit I get is the weird tasty note, but I drink too many of them, is orange knockoff 5-hour energies, where it's like a little too sweet to be an actual orange, but there's definitely like that in there. And then it just goes on this interesting another roller coaster, right? Where it just keeps going and going.
I'm getting a lot of brown sugar, a little bit of cinnamon, and almost, I would say molasses, and like even a little bit of like maple, like a little maple syrup. Like the sweetness is like this weird combination of like dark sweetness.
Like an
Let's
apple
see.
cinnamon kringle.
Ooh,
I'm sorry.
that's a good.
High
fat
five
guy
on the
tasting
fat boy
note.
cake. Yeah, exactly. That's where I was
Pastry
going.
there. High five to Racine.
Flash those across the bottom now when that happens.
That maple note's like a maple hard candy.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I know Ewald's had the 2019 edition. I have
Yep. And, okay.
I have
Here we
this
go.
much left.
Yeah, I have one of those too.
All right. Give me a second. I want to see what you guys think of it versus the 2021.
Hold on, I'm gonna go get it.
Only incredibly jealous. Thanks,
Proof
guys.
on the-
Well, I didn't. I
So
thought mine
19
was empty.
So should the rest of us who don't have that just start pulling off something like we're really proud of? Like, oh, y'all are having this really hard to get amazing whiskey. Why don't we just grab
So
one real quick?
19 is 63.28%.
Ooh.
So it's high. It's a little bit higher ABV than the new one. So
And if you want, I say grab an MB Rollins then if you're jealous.
Well, my favorite MB Rollins smoked, so this is gonna be palate
you-
building.
19
That-
blows
that's
off a little bit more ethanol on the nose.
Yeah.
The one Mitch is talking about, that's gonna be in the smoke show. I mean,
Oh,
that
so
smoked corn whiskey from MB Rollins is pretty damn good.
so
Ooh,
this
nice.
is
Or dark fired.
it's dark fired. So I have 4 variations of it, and they're all wildly different. So I have their white dog that they smoke. It's completely unaged, weird as all get out. Then I have their bourbon, and then I have this whiskey, which is the same stuff put into a bourbon barrel. So it's a once used barrel. And then I also have a single barrel from Westport Whiskey and Wine that is, oh my goodness. But looks like this is what I'm doing today.
That single barrel from Westport, if that's the same one or similar one I've had, that's just like drinking barbecue.
I think they've only ever done one.
Okay.
So I'm
Then,
pretty sure it's that one.
Yeah, it's like pork barbecue burnt ends kind of thing going on. It's incredible.
Now comparing the 2019 anniversary and the newer, this one's a little thin compared to the two, I think.
To 21.
Yeah, compared to the 21, the 19 is a little bit thinner. There's not as much going on there, I think.
There's a lot of musty oak from the 2019.
Yeah.
Really oaky.
More oakier, yeah.
I was gonna say it's on the nose smells like a little sharper comparatively.
Okay, well, I bringing us
Way
back-
less brown sugar and earthiness. Sorry, Dina, I'm gonna shut up now. I mean,
That's okay. I'm bringing us back to the 21. The first nosing we did was one that I had poured like probably a half hour ago. And so I let it blow off some heat. I just poured another little bit in a glass, and now I'm getting more like mint and tobacco off of the nose than I did from the one that I'd let sit for a while.
I get the mint coming back from the 2019 for sure. And I think the 2021 is just on the nose a much richer, deeper, richer sugar notes coming through the sides of the barrel. But that,
I think there's a lot more layers of depth of flavor in the 2021.
I think the 19 plays more in like an effervescent realm.
Yeah.
There's a lot of light notes on this where apricot, pear, almost a peach, like a fig, like not even like a strawberry fig Newton, but like an apricot fig Newton.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and definitely not as heavy on the mouthfeel at all. Those extra couple years and those other barrels really torqued that one in a good direction. So, what did you end up pouring, Mitch?
Oh, the one I showed you, the dark fired whiskey. It's not dark fired
Hold on a second.
bourbon.
You're the first time on the show. Not really, but the first time I'm going to make you big on the show. There you go.
Ooh, it's a badge of honor.
It is dark fire. That's what the hell can I make it do what it's supposed to? There we go. That's one that I think Jeffrey Patron gave me, and I was like, damn. That was the first one I had. I was like, American smoke. Someone can do it right. Where I was used to seeing all the peats and scotches from overseas like handle smoke really well. That was when I'm like, okay, that someone did a really nice job with this. It's not the same, kind of like Cole Keegan. It's not the same as across the ocean, but damn, some people are doing some nice stuff with smoke. Ranger Creek,
Right.
Del Box, several other people as well too.
I brought this to just a fun tasting I had with friends, and I was like, "You ever had barbecue?" And they're like, "Yeah." And I was like, "You ever had bourbon?" Yeah. I was like, "All right, well, smash those two together and drink this." And they were like,
Right.
"Well, that sounds really. Oh, okay, yeah, no, that kind of works."
Yep.
Question for everyone. Which one was your favorite J. Henry today? If you had three, you can pick between the three, but I think for me, easily it jumps up to this year's releases of the two.
Mhm.
And do you have a different J. Henry that you like better than the ones you had today? Shots fired, but it's like intershots, so it's not like that's really
For that one. We got one more score to answer that question. We got J. Henry 8-year.
8-year Patton Road Reserve.
Yeah, Patton Road Reserve 8-year. We got more to answer that question.
I know the Bellefontaines out there. We reviewed that a few years ago, and that is a wonderfully, almost maybe even more sublime whiskey than the Armagnac one here.
Bellefontaine is sexy. That one is.
This one has a little more brown sugar molasses, I think, and I think that one is a little bit lighter.
I had the Bellefontaine for a warm-up pour, and the Flamme was much darker, much fruitier.
Yeah,
There was a big difference between the two.
definitely.
Even though Bellefontaine's still my favorite, but
See, that's what I wanted to hear. No matter what it is, you got to have a favorite. I like that.
these two, I would think I would take a La Flamme, though. It's so unique.
For the audience, the Bellefontaine is the one that it's aged in cognac casks, I think, right?
Right.
Yeah. As far as compared to Armagnac, it's cognac.
Yeah.
Right. No, I definitely today I like the La Flamme a little better. It is darker, it's fruitier. It's got, to me, there's a little bit more nuance going on in that one than the Anniversary, but they're in some ways they're not that far apart either. Definitely taste the house profile going through on that. So they're both exceptional and really good, but the La Flamme for me is a standout.
Hey,
Same.
Mother of Wisconsin Whiskey Fan Club up there. Hey,
Yeah.
what the hell do you think, Note Boy?
Wow. I would have to go. I'd have to say that the La Flamme by a nose, but I'm also working on a blend of the La Flamme and the Anniversary.
It's just where I'm working. I headed that way now.
So right now my blend is whatever residue of this smoked MB Roland is, and I'm finishing the La Flamme, and
Ooh.
smoke and whatever dark notes I'm still getting off of this La Flamme work really well.
Ooh.
Okay,
Now you got a dean at blending, so
Jeez.
shit's going off the rails now.
that's right. When she starts blending, watch out.
Uh-oh.
Mm. I could only imagine that. I gotta have a smoked one by me. I know there's that one from the other night.
So I blended
Flaming Hearts over
19
there.
in the 2021 anniversaries. That does not suck. It's good.
Brad LeClaire would be ecstatic with your tasting notes.
When I said blend, I just wildly dumped them
Dump
together.
some stuff
This
together.
is highly scientific.
I feel like Adina's got is measuring it out better than you did.
No.
No, she didn't run to get the graduated cylinder or anything, but you know.
Okay. Now
Let's
let's
try
see.
something
Goes
then.
completely off the rails. I poured a little taste of the 8-year Patton Road Reserve, so it's
Okay.
not finished in any wild barrels. It's 120 proof, 8 years old, and it is fabulous.
Mhm.
It is, the first nose hits you like citrus, apricot, fruit bomb,
Mhm.
maybe almost like if you took the dried fruits out of a fruit cake,
Ooh,
put them all together, and it's here.
Yeah, it's fruitcake.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh man, it's lovely.
The good part of fruitcake.
Yeah, the good part of the fruit cake.
I like how you mentioned it before. It's like if you take the fruit out, like just
the alcohol soaked fruit, the good part of any cake.
Right.
Oh, okay. I did the. I went for some quick smoke. Closest thing to me was deer hammer hickory smoked corn.
oh,
And I put that in with the blend. Yeah, Mitch, that smoke is.
Boy,
I'm not even blending it. I'm just taking a drink of that, and before it's like my palate has a chance to recover, I take a drink of the Flamme. Oh, I'm upset that I can't do this more.
Mitch just had his it's so good moment.
here, palate, I'm going to totally screw with you.
He'll probably be mad at me later. It's fine.
Oh, I think that's definitely one of them, Renita, or both of them. I don't know. I can't remember what I sent everybody. Sorry, there was a minute there I was trying to get everyone out, and then it just was packing things. All right, I got all three of mine together right now. All right, I'm doing another one. I think the 2019 on that one, like we were talking about, kind of flattened out the nose a little bit. So I'm going to the two from today.
Oh, there you go.
The two from today as a blend is awesome.
I think that was.
Yeah.
Oh, John's hitting that on the nose, man. Wow.
Oh,
So
man.
good.
That is delicious.
It like amped up the brown sugar and fruit note. Just jumping out of the glass.
And almost like a deep, dark caramel.
Holy cow. Wow. Yeah, the blend of the two from today. It's a winner.
All right, here. I'm gonna open that. Finish has a little more heat on it. You get that from the anniversary edition. Not bad. I'm gonna say I like them. Ooh, fuck. Finish just turned on me there. Damn it. Okay. I like it now. I was a little iffy at that finish. The finish has this neat twist where you're getting all the dried fruit, the edge of like, for me, like a cinnamon gingerbread, and molasses cookie. There's a lot of weird shit going on right now. It's an overload, man. And it's on the finish for me, not the actual drink, is where my overload is coming from. So
When you do stuff like this, you got to respect the blenders. It's like, how in the hell do they come up with what they come up with? I mean, we're just kind of doing what we're doing right now, and it's just, wow. So much you can do.
Yeah.
And how do you do it without using the entirety of your stock?
Right.
That's
right.
the other thing, right? Like, oh, this is good. Let's try this. Hey, where's that barrel that was really great? You used it. Like, oh, yeah, 10 milliliters at a time.
Exactly.
So I did what y'all did. I mixed the La Flamme and the anniversary. It became more tannic for me when I did that. So I must have done the wrong proportions. So I tried doing the smoked whiskey with it. Hard pass. Something about the La Flamme is magical with smoke.
Yeah, I think my blend was more La Flamme with just a touch of the anniversary. I think it was more heavy on the La Flamme.
I think I might have done the opposite.
Mm-hmm.
I went like 50-50, and I think that's where I was like, it was good, but then like I said, I almost wanted the division of them until I got to the finish where it got more interesting, like 20 seconds in. Is where like some like the grape varietals for like were coming out of the top half, and I'm still getting brown sugar and barrel note on the bottom of my tongue. It's weird. It's like two completely with the blend. It's like a flavor on top and a flavor on the bottom of my tongue. really weird.
I gotta say on the Flamme, with a secondary barrel finished whiskey, too many people are getting a little overhanded with it, but this one is done right. It's it's awesome.
It is definitely bourbon accented,
Right.
rather than
Right.
something else.
It doesn't taste like the secondary barrel. It tastes like it's accented, like you said. Yep.
Now, I will say, one of my favorite finished bourbons is the opposite, where it's like, oh, that's a nice bourbon finish you got there on that wine. And I absolutely love it. And I was very upset when they stopped making it because they didn't have much. And Ben, it's bottled where you work. So.
All right, spill it, Mitch. What is it?
It's the Pritchard Hill Jefferson Reserve.
Okay.
It is so sweet and so grapey. And I mean, I'm a fat kid in heart and body, if you ask any of my doctors. So sweet is 100% my jam. So it was the first time I think it might have been one of the first finished bourbons I had, actually. And it was just mind blowing to be like, my bourbon tastes like grapes. And it's probably one of the first bottle kills I ever had.
It's finished for the sake of finish versus finished well. Either you go to the extreme and you pick up a lot of the secondary barrel, or you just have a hint of the secondary barrel. It works. Not just we did this for doing this,
Right.
And I in general like it this way, but like Mitch said, there are I don't want to say rarefied exceptions, but there are bombs that are fantastic.
Yeah.
I also like sherry bombed scotch, like Aberlour and Glendronach. Those are really speaking to my soul. And I feel like probably Pritchard Hill captured the American version of that.
Oh.
I just saw last week, Mitch. I think Trey was doing some tasting or doing something with Jade, and they had pulled out some bottles of a 10-year anniversary edition of the Pritchard Hill. And they were these really nice, long, tall, elegant wine bottles, just a gorgeous label on it. It looked really good. Unfortunately, I did not get to sample any of that, but just saw the bottles come through and then heard what they were doing.
That's when you're supposed to just kind of hang around in the back of the room,
Right,
for a little while. Wait to see if he says anything.
I used to work at Westport Whiskey and Wine just because I liked whiskey, and when they would bring in, reps who are like, "Hey, you need to start carrying this," they'd be like, "Hey, Mitch, you want to just stand around and see if you can get a pour?" It's like, yes, I do want to do that. Thank you.
right. That's like yesterday. We were in the lab, and our logistics manager was trying to pull some barrels for a specific customer. I won't go into what they were exactly, but they had 3 barrels that weren't properly marked or something. We're trying to figure out what they were. So we pulled samples, and Jade and her were standing there tasting through them. And it's like, okay, here you go. Have figure these out. And so you're around at the right time. You get to sample some interesting things. So it's such a hard job.
Yeah, that's the opposite of what the distillery where I worked was, which was like, hey, smell this. That smells like rotting garbage, doesn't it? God. It's like, yeah, something went wrong.
Right. Well, I mean, there is the whole sensory component to distilling. We're constantly, sampling what's coming off the still and doing the quality control checks on that. But occasionally there's, a bottle gets pulled or something brought out that we're getting ready to release or getting ready to bottle. And it's like, here, you guys try this, see what you think of this. So that's always a fun time when you have a random Glencairn thrown in your face of something.
Yeah, just wait till they get you with one that's wrong. They can't be good all the time. And I would intentionally throw you something weird.
Well, there's a lot of sensory training.
You can't tell me that you don't have friends there that would put a Malort in the glass and hand it to you and be like, here.
That's probably more after hours.
Give you a sample of some head. What do you think of these? What do you think of this head's cut?
Right,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, right. Yeah, no, that's like last night out with a couple of distillers, and one of them brings up some shots, and it's like, what is this? Just take it. All right, shoot it down, and it's freaking Rumpelmints.
See
Remember
that's
that guy.
that's what Trey should do sometime is go and get Malort, don't tell anybody, and just say,
Right.
all right, guys, I'm really excited about this next release of Jefferson's. I want you guys all honest opinion. And then just
and see who will sit there and just bullshit and go, "Oh,
We're
Yes.
calling
this
this
is wonderful. This is wonderful. I love
so
this."
unique.
Jefferson's garbage scow.
Yeah.
Wasn't an ocean voyage. It was a Brooklyn voyage on the river.
Yeah.
What's the character Mater in Cars? I think
Yeah.
it's Cars 2. He eats some ice cream, or he thinks it's ice cream. It's wasabi, and he's like, "This has turned." Right there. Absolutely.
Never heard a wasabi note in a bourbon tasting. That's
Mm.
I wonder.
There
You
was
know, I mean-
once at a Japanese steakhouse in Madison. We're around the hibachi, and two women brought their kids in, and the tray came out, and a little girl grabbed the entire ball of wasabi and threw it in her mouth. I've never seen a girl scream or cry, or it was just seeing her in agony.
We actually did that. We did that to a friend of mine years ago. We were at a Japanese steakhouse, and he had no experience with sushi or anything like that. And they brought out the wasabi, and we convinced him it was guacamole. And he just popped the whole thing in his mouth, and within about 30 seconds, you could just see him from like the neck up to start turning red. And he's grabbing everybody's beer and just chugging, and a lot of swear words were thrown about.
As they should be.
You're right.
Definitely should be. I like surprises like that.
Am I the only person who likes the pickled ginger at sushi? Because like I ignore
do.
wasabi. I love pickled
I
ginger.
I like it both.
Oh, okay.
I like
Give me the
pickled
wasabi and give me the
ginger.
pickled
It
ginger.
Because every time
It
I've
does
gone
not
out,
like me.
just every time
Ginger.
I've gone out with people, I'll be like, "Ooh, yum," and I'll eat like 2 or 3 pieces of it, and I get stared at like I've grown a third head. All right.
Sorry, Renita, I have to laugh. That's it's still
I gotta
funny.
say to
Good for
Renita,
him.
I went to Nashville and went to one of those hot chicken places down in Nashville. I think it might have been Hattie B's or one of those places.
Nice.
And
Right.
how hot do you want it? Oh yeah, give me the 5, 1 through 5. Give me the 5. Oh good God!
Come on. Well, that
I was paying for days.
days. See, when we go to Nashville, that's one of the things. Like I like Prince's hot chicken. Like if you get the extra hot, like the people there are like concerned. You know, like
Well,
hey,
my
if
wife
just
was like, are
just
you
don't puke in
sure?
here.
Are you sure you want that? Well, yeah.
Yeah,
And
that's
I
why I
read
came.
the reviews and said, don't go any more than a 2. I was fine.
God, it was great when I was eating it.
Oh, I'm sure. So do you guys all watch or who watches Hot Ones on YouTube?
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
So the other day Dave Grohl was on, and anything Dave Grohl is on I think is great, but
Yeah.
he had a really good one, and he had said one of the guys in their crew, he told him he was going to be on the show, and the guy got all excited. He's like, you need to drink a bunch of milk before you go. And Dave's like, why do you drink milk before you go? And he goes, it's not about your lips, it's about your asshole afterwards.
Oh, I thought he was going for like the opposite, like the bad
No.
thing, like
And
drinking
you know
a
what-
gallon of milk in an hour. Like, hey, before you go and you have all this stuff that's going to make you want to drink it, drink half a gallon. You know, like just make it be horrible for him. I thought he was
No, and not only that, Dave watched the episode. It's a great episode. Dave made cocktails and brought them, and had Sean doing cocktails with them while they're doing the wings.
Is Crown and Coke a cocktail? Like, I mean,
Okay.
this guy's good. But he just mixed
yeah.
Crown
When
and
you're-
Coke and poured it using his fingers as a sip.
Okay,
Well,
but when you're eating hot wings, I think anything's a cocktail that is not one single ingredient.
Ice water is a cocktail at that point.
That's right.
I both agree with you and disagree with you.
It's like my theory of the salad. A combination of any 3 food items constitutes a salad and is therefore healthy for you.
That's right.
I feel like I agree with you on a fundamental level, and that's why my doctor doesn't like me.
Right.
Has any of you watched Mind of a Chef on PBS?
yes,
Yes.
hell
The
yeah.
one Sean Brock went to Prince's and they said, well, I hope you put your toilet paper in the freezer before you came in.
Hell yeah. That's the one. That's where I was like, told you, I'm like, I want to go there. She's like, are you serious? I'm like, the dude's hallucinating at the table. Like, yes, I want to go there. You know, like, yeah, have 911 on standby. That's fine if I.
So
I overheat. So there's a point where I would sweat a lot, and then if I get past that 5 minutes, I'm impenetrable. But there's a 5-minute window that I am fucking vulnerable as shit.
So if any of y'all ever come to Louisville, like specifically, we have a warring fried chicken kind of like war.
Oh, it's like Philly cheesesteaks.
Kind of. We have like 3 main contenders, and you get their spicy wings, and they're not sauced. It's just the wings are spiced before they're breaded and fried.
Thank God. Sorry.
Right? Thank you. And you can either like Chicken King, Kings, or Indies. And it is amazing because I am apparently one of like not enough white people in this city who have discovered spicy fried chicken. And I will go there and it'll be like, I stand out everywhere because I'm 6.5 feet tall, but I'm also paler than everybody there by a very large margin. And I walk up and they're like, oh, what is, like mild? And I'm like, actually, I want like 100 spicy wings, please. Because like I want to eat for 3 days off of this. And every single person just looks at me and they're like, what the hell is the matter with you, sir? And it's like, well, a lot, but also I really like spicy.
You should just lay down on the counter and start spilling your guts. It all started when I was 8.
So 2 people met in the 70s and they decided to love each other, and that's where it all went wrong.
It's like Chuck in the Goonies when they ask him to confess.
Yeah, it is one time.
I let the dog out. I was at the movies.
I was at the movies. I had this fake vomit.
No, it was real vomit. And then I got sick and I puked over the railing. And this is what's worse. It's everyone started getting sick and puking all over each other. It's awful. This is the worst day of my life. Sorry.
I like heat. I do like heat, but you gotta be practical.
Yeah.
I think it's at that level, like at most of these places, but apparently a lot of these people are like, guacamole, that's spicy. And it's like, buddy, you need to like calm down a little bit. Like,
I've got a coworker that comes in and I brought in some Carolina Reaper chili today. You want to try some? Oh God. Here we go.
My dad loves to garden, and one of his favorite things to grow is just any ridiculously hot chili pepper. And they used to bring him into work and be like, hey, anybody want some peppers? People would be like, free food, heck yeah. And like 2 or 3 days later, they'd come back and be like, you mother.
No. So one time my in-laws were up staying with us, and I was coming home from work, and father-in-law was making spaghetti, just a bolognese sauce. And apparently he likes to kick it up a little bit. And so he saw in my cabinet this jar of Tabasco. And he thought he'd throw several good splashes of that in there. What he didn't do was read the label that it was scorpion pepper Tabasco sauce. And so we all sit down to have spaghetti, and my kids like take a bite, and all of a sudden they're in tears. And then he's like, what the hell is going on? And he takes a bite, and he's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. What did I put in this? And I'm going, what did you put in it? And he said, well, there was this little bit of Tabasco in there that I threw in to kind of kick it up a little bit. And I'm like, I don't have regular Tabasco. That's scorpion pepper Tabasco. Anyway, he and I were the only ones that could like eat the spaghetti and all, and it was slightly painful, but it was still pretty good.
We first moved into our house. We've got a Puerto Rican neighbor behind us. It's super nice guy. He's great. And he brought over some salsa, and he says, here's some of my homemade salsa that I make. Here, try this. Brought it home, got out the chips with Adina and tried it. And it's like, oh, holy mother of God. So how was the salsa? It was freaking great.
It was tasty.
It was good salsa, but holy.
How was it the next day?
Yeah.
It's better than it's when you get like worried, like, did I blister my mouth? What happened?
Right.
It can happen.
Yeah.
No, but I think that we had talked about that with other distillers at one point, or people in general, maybe like a truth or dab episode. Where
I think Hunter's the one that talked about wanting to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm all for a truth or dab episode,
Right.
the Distiller's Edition, where if you get yourself in the hey, you can be in it.
I'm out. Deuce is out.
You might not. You have questions we could ask you. You might not want to answer.
Oh,
so that's the whole point of
I
the
am
show.
going to be 100% truthful. You can ask me about anything.
I also
Hey,
think
Mitch.
I also think the other factor in that was Hunter was the only thing we were allowed to drink is White Dog off the still
Yeah.
to wash
It
down.
was, and I was like, that could be not. I'm like, well, because he started off with the 10 wings. I'm like, well, with the 10 sauces, that no. I'm like, someone would be fucking bad. By the end of that, I was like, truth or dab, I can see that.
See who lasts until the end.
What whiskey would you pair with hot stuff?
That was part of the game, the thought process,
Yeah.
because there's like different flavor components. Some might be mango, some might might have been part of the show when we were thinking of doing 10, but that 10's a lot.
10's a lot.
Yeah.
And when you get to like say 7 through 10, it gets, once you get to the bomb, it gets kind of,
I feel like there's a
iffy.
very sharp, like.
Well, and that's because it doesn't
spike.
taste good. Like the other ones, like you can tolerate, but I'm not a big like curry fan for one of them. So one of the bombs, I'm not, like flavor wise, like it's fine, but the bomb does not taste good, and it just fucks with you. That's the whole point, and I love it. I respect it.
So, if you can see my screen, this is
Hold on.
Jefferson's Chef's Collaboration.
Oh, I love that one.
You're right. So it's a blend of bourbon and rye. It's made by Jefferson's in collaboration with Chef Edward Lee, who's kind of like a local celebrity chef.
Right.
But what he's kind of famous for here in Louisville is Korean spicy fried chicken.
Yeah.
And he apparently knows Trey Zoller, and he was like, "Hey, you want to make a whiskey that pairs with Korean fried chicken?" And he was like, "Yes, I do." So, like, that whiskey is specifically designed to pair with spicy food.
Like Renita said, a fruity bourbon, something fruity, I think would pair with spicy,
Mm-hmm. That would be.
Yeah.
Just add it like it would be, and it wouldn't be like the ones they typically use in hot sauces where it gets to be like mango and other weird ones where it's going to be the standard flavor. I don't know.
Right.
I'm intrigued. We like to damage ourselves, so something like that could be in the future.
If
I'm
I
going
ever do that, you're going to find out whatever you want to know about me. Because I have, like, once you get above, like, Tabasco or Sriracha, I start to be like, this is getting kind of intense, guys.
Hey, that's what we want to see. That's the whole point of the show. If we give people we know or even the audience too much time to come up with questions, there'll be ones where it's just like, I guess I'll be having a wing.
Right.
Like the whole episode. God damn it, guys. But all right, here.
So, did we ever answer your question? Would we like the Flamme or the 2021?
I don't know. Let's go around here at the end before we hop off. I've kept all you lovely people on here for an hour. So let's hear your final thoughts on which one's your favorite or which one you prefer.
I absolutely prefer the La Flamme. Like, the dark fruit notes, I'm a real sucker for. So, 100% La Flamme.
Same here.
Flamme.
I agree.
Same.
Flamme.
2021 was awesome, but La Flamme, yeah, it's special.
See, Benjamin.
La Flamme.
Oh, I like all of those. I can't. I went that way. Obviously, it was my craft finished whiskey of the year last year. So I'm happy to see other people at least leaning that way and not going over the original. But yeah, I like the way it was put together from the ones I'd had last year.
Mhm.
Let's see here. Monday, I think Valcones is coming on. Gabe should be here on Monday, 8:00. Then after, what the hell, we have a few other ones coming up, but that's the next one. We'll roll with that. Because I don't know, we have some other tasting ones and stuff. I'm gonna have a giveaway coming up not this coming Monday, but afterwards. I've been going through some of my old boxes in my house after I moved in, and I've found some material giveaway I should have done already that's been boxed away. So I feel like maybe a sample or two, and there might be some shirts, some kind of cool stirs, spoon stirs with a shot on the top side for all you bartenders at home. So there'll be some other stuff we'll be giving away coming up. Ooh, that sounds interesting. Any lock, stock, and barrels are very fruit forward. Now, I wonder if they had to give Guy Ritchie any money, just for the name of the lock, stock, and barrels. Probably not. It was just a weird thought.
Question for Anita: what's the mash bill that they're doing at Devil's River?
Ooh, I have a guy at work that loves their rye, and their bourbon. So we'll wait for that for a second. Excuse me. Let's see here. What? Oh, they added all sorts of other stuff to StreamYard. I didn't know that.
New buttons to click.
There is. There is. Hold on.
Pat's got some discoveries.
We're just gonna try it and see what this does.
You're just gonna click buttons?
I did. Apparently that's feeding the ducks.
The background music. Yeah, but
apparently
you can't
that's feeding
add
ducks. Oh, well,
yeah.
Bullshit. I mean, nothing. I didn't mean to upset you, StreamYard.
That sounds about right with a high rye to get some good fruity notes coming off the new make. So,
all right, 4 to 5% malted barley. I gotta say, I like a little bit of malted barley or malted rye, and a lot of stuff right now is really kind of adding that extra little churn of flavor to it, and the stuff we've been having. So,
yep.
All right. Well, I want to thank John and Mitch and Dave and Adina for stopping in with us today and giving your thoughts. Kevin, I know you were sore, but thank you for jumping in with your little comments. We appreciate that, and we're sorry we missed you. We'll have you on again soon. Stop in Monday when Gabe will be here from Balcones. And otherwise, remember, it's not the size of the den. It's the love of whiskey. Cheers, everyone out there.
Cheers.
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 Cheers.